Welcome back to Tell Me More Stories Told as podcast. I'm your host, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of salt.
Salt.
Yeah, you know that little white crystal that makes all our food taste better?
Right.
It turns out there's a whole lot more to salt than meets the eye.
What's captivating about salt is that it's been a constant presence throughout human history.
Oh, wow.
It's been traded, fought over, and even revered for its properties.
Okay, so it's more than just a seasoning.
Much more.
Where should we even begin with something this vast?
Well, let's start with the basics.
Okay.
Salt, scientifically known as sodium chloride, is absolutely essential for life.
Hmm.
The sodium in salt acts as an electrolyte, helping our nerves fire, our muscles contract, and our bodies maintain a healthy balance of fluids.
So without it, we wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
That definitely makes it more than just a dinner table staple.
And the story of how humans have obtained this essential element is fascinating.
Okay.
We have evidence of salt production dating back to 6050 BC in Romania at a place called Poiana Slatina.
6050 BC. That's unbelievably old.
It is.
What were they doing back then to get their hands on this salt?
Archaeologists discovered what appears to be a pretty sophisticated saltworks for the time.
Really?
They were boiling spring water to extract the salt.
Hmm.
It's remarkable to think about the ingenuity it took to figure that out so long ago.
It really is.
Yeah.
It goes to show how important salt was even in those early days.
It does.
Were there other civilizations also figuring out salt production around the same time?
Around the same time, in 6000 BC, salt production was taking place at Siachi Lake in China.
Oh, wow.
This just demonstrates how essential salt was to civilizations all across the globe.
So it's incredible to think about these separate cultures so far apart, both recognizing the value of salt and developing methods for obtaining it.
Yes.
You mentioned that it was traded and fought over.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that?
Salt was a valuable commodity.
Oh.
Control over salt production and trade routes meant power and wealth. Take the Venetian-Genoese salt war, for instance. It was a fierce rivalry fueled by the desire to control the salt trade in the Mediterranean.
Wow, an entire war fought over salt.
It's true.
It's hard to imagine in today's world,
It is.
but I guess it makes sense considering how essential it is.
Right.
Are there other historical examples of salt sparking conflict?
Salt scarcity or high taxes on salt even contributed to major revolutions.
Oh, really?
Think of the American Revolution, where colonists were frustrated with British control over salt imports.
Yep.
Or the French Revolution, where an unpopular salt tax added fuel to the fire of discontent.
So salt has played a pretty significant role in shaping the course of history.
It has.
It's incredible how something so seemingly simple has had such a profound impact.
Yes, it is.
But it's not just about wars and revolutions, right?
No.
It's also had a place in religion and culture throughout the ages.
Absolutely. Salt has long been associated with purity preservation and even spirituality.
Okay.
In the Bible, there's the covenant of salt,
Right.
which symbolizes an unbreakable bond.
I've also heard of the practice of salting the earth after conquering a city,
Yes.
which was supposed to render the land barren.
That's right. It was a powerful act of symbolic destruction, demonstrating complete dominance over the defeated.
Speaking of dominance, isn't it true that the word salary is actually derived from the Latin word for salt?
That's a popular theory.
Okay.
While the exact reason is still debated, it highlights just how important salt was. Some even believe that Roman soldiers were paid in salt, though that might be more of a myth.
Paid in salt.
Costs of...
That's amazing. I never would have guessed that.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people might be surprised to learn about how influential salt has been throughout history.
I agree.
If you're finding this journey through the world of salt as fascinating as I am, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other insightful episodes of Tell Me More.
Great idea.
But we're not done yet.
No, we're not.
There's so much more to uncover about this incredible mineral.
That's right.
Let's shift gears and talk about the different types of salt.
Now that's something I could talk about for hours.
Oh, I bet.
While all salt is fundamentally sodium chloride, the source and processing methods can result in some really interesting varieties.
Okay.
With unique flavors and textures.
Like Himalayan pink salt.
Yes.
I've seen it everywhere lately.
Right.
What makes it so special?
What
Is it actually healthier?
Himalayan pink salt gets its distinctive color from trace minerals.
Okay.
And while some people believe it has added health benefits, those claims are still being debated by scientists.
So it's more about the aesthetics and maybe a bit of a placebo effect.
Perhaps.
Okay.
But there are other salts like fleur de sel that are undeniably special.
Right.
It's a delicate sea salt harvested from the top layer of salt ponds.
Wow.
And it has a unique flavor and texture that chefs love.
What about kosher salt?
Yes.
I see that being used all the time in cooking shows.
Kosher salt has larger crystals, which make it ideal for certain culinary techniques.
Okay.
It doesn't dissolve as quickly, which is great for drawing moisture out of meat, for example.
So all these different types of salt have their own unique purpose in the kitchen.
Exactly.
It's amazing how much variety there is.
It is.
But let's take a step back for a moment and talk about the science behind how we taste saltiness.
Okay.
How do we actually perceive that salty flavor?
Our tongues have specialized taste receptors specifically for detecting salt. These receptors interact with sodium ions, sending a signal to our brains that we interpret as that familiar salty taste.
So it's all about those sodium ions triggering those receptors.
That's right.
It's fascinating.
Yes.
But here's the thing. We all know that too much salt can be bad for us.
Right.
So how do we reconcile that with the fact that we need it to survive?
That's the paradox of salt.
Okay.
It's essential in moderation, but potentially harmful in excess.
Right, because too much sodium can lead to water retention and high blood pressure,
Exactly.
which can increase the risk of heart disease and stroke.
That's right.
So maintaining a healthy balance is key. But what's really interesting is that salt isn't just confined to the dinner table.
No, it's not.
Its uses extend far beyond the culinary world.
Absolutely.
I remember reading something about salt being used in things like manufacturing and agriculture.
Yes.
But water treatment,
Yes.
right?
Salt is used in water softening processes to remove minerals that cause hard water. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, so what are some other surprising uses for salt? I'm all ears.
Well, think about those icy roads during winter.
Okay.
Salt is used to de-ice them by lowering the freezing point of water.
That one I knew about, but never really thought about the science behind it.
Right.
What else?
Salt plays a crucial role in chemical production.
Oh, really?
It's used to manufacture things like caustic soda and chlorine, which are then used to create a whole range of products, from PVC pipes to plastics and even paper pulp.
Wait, so the same stuff I sprinkle on my popcorn is used to make plastic?
It's true.
That's wild.
It's even used in aluminum production to remove impurities.
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Okay, one last question.
Sure.
With all these uses, just how much salt are we talking about globally?
Global salt production is massive.
Okay.
In 2018 alone, over 300 million tons of salt were produced.
300 million tons.
That's right.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Where does it all come from?
Most of it comes from seawater.
Seawater.
Remember those salt evaporation ponds we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
They're one of the main methods of salt production.
Okay.
Especially in countries with high evaporation rates.
So it's all about harnessing the power of the sun to evaporate the water and leave the salt behind.
Exactly.
But what about countries that aren't located near oceans?
They obtain salt from underground deposits, often remnants of ancient seas. They either mine it directly as rock salt, or extract it by pumping water into the deposits to dissolve the salt and then evaporate the resulting brine.
This entire deep dive has been a revelation.
It really is.
Salt is so much more than just a simple seasoning. It's a pillar of civilization, a scientific marvel, and a resource with incredible potential.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to explore even more fascinating facets of this amazing mineral.
I agree. It's fascinating. It's really fascinating how something we often take for granted can have such a complex and compelling story. From ancient rituals to modern technology, salt has touched so many aspects of human life.
You know, hearing about all these modern applications of salt, it makes me wonder what the future holds for this versatile mineral. Do you think there are uses we haven't even dreamed of yet?
That's a great question, and I think it speaks to the potential of even the most common substances to hold hidden possibilities. Salt is no exception. For instance, researchers are exploring its use in energy storage.
Energy storage.
Specifically in solar power plants.
Solar power plants.
Yeah.
Now that's intriguing. How does salt fit into that picture?
Imagine molten salt being used as a massive thermal battery.
Okay.
It can store the heat generated by solar panels during the day and then release it later when the sun isn't shining, providing a consistent and reliable source of energy.
So it's like a giant molten salt energy reservoir.
Yes.
That's pretty futuristic.
It is, and it has the potential to revolutionize the way we think about renewable energy. But that's not all. There's also growing interest in using salt in building materials.
Building materials. Okay, now I'm really curious. What kind of applications are we talking about here?
Think of bricks made from salt.
Salt bricks.
They're being investigated as a sustainable and even fire-resistant building material, especially in arid regions where salt is abundant.
Wow. I have to admit, when you said building materials, my mind went straight to salt lick houses for animals. But fire-resistant salt bricks. That's actually brilliant.
It is, and it highlights the incredible versatility of salt. Who knows what other innovative uses we'll discover in the years to come.
It really makes you think about all the hidden potential that might be lurking in everyday materials. It's a reminder to never underestimate the power of simple things.
Exactly. There's always more to learn and discover, even about something as seemingly ordinary as salt. It's a testament to the beauty of scientific inquiry and human ingenuity.
Speaking of discoveries, I'm curious about your personal take on salt. If you had to pick one aspect of salt that you find most fascinating, what would it be?
That's a tough one. Salt is such a multifaceted substance, but I think what truly captivates me is its ability to connect us to the past, present, and future. It's a tangible link to ancient civilizations, a vital ingredient in our daily lives, and a potential key to solving some of the challenges we face today. It's a perfect example of how something so simple can have such a profound impact on our world.
That's beautifully put. It really highlights how interconnected everything is, from ancient rituals to cutting-edge technology. And salt is right there woven through it all.
And who knows what other secret salt might be hiding?
Exactly. There's always more to uncover. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the history and science of salt to its cultural significance and even its future potential.
Yeah.
But there's one aspect we haven't touched on yet. The religious and cultural significance of salt throughout history.
Ah, yes. That's a rich and fascinating area to explore. Salt has played a prominent role in rituals and beliefs across countless cultures and time periods. It speaks to how deeply ingrained this mineral is in the human experience.
I'm eager to learn more about this side of salt. Where should we begin?
Let's start with one of the oldest examples, the practice of throwing salt into fire during religious ceremonies.
I've heard of that. Didn't ancient civilizations do that to appease their gods?
Precisely. From the ancient Hebrews and Hittites to the Greeks and Romans, salt was often offered to deities. The crackling sound it made as it burned was believed to be a way of communicating with the divine.
It's amazing how something so simple could hold such profound meaning.
It speaks to the power of symbolism. And speaking of symbolism, there's also a fascinating connection between salt and purity.
Oh, right. Like how salt is used in some baptism rituals.
Exactly. In some Christian traditions, salt is added to the baptismal water to symbolize purification and the warding off of evil.
And in some cultures, people throw salt over their left shoulder for good luck, right?
That's another great example. It's thought to ward off bad luck or evil spirits lurking behind you.
I've definitely done that a few times, just in case. Are there any other interesting salt rituals you can share?
Well, in Hinduism, salt plays an important role in housewarmings and weddings. It's seen as a symbol of prosperity and good fortune.
I can see how salt, with its ability to preserve and enhance, would be associated with those ideas.
Absolutely. And in Jainism, salt is offered to deities as a sign of devotion and even sprinkled on cremated remains before burial.
Wow, it really seems like salt has touched almost every aspect of human culture.
It truly has, and these are just a few examples. There are countless other traditions and beliefs surrounding salt across the globe, highlighting its enduring power.
After this deep dive, I don't think I'll ever look at salt the same way again. It's so much more than just a seasoning or a simple chemical compound.
It's a story that spans millennia, connecting us to the past, the present, and even the future. And who knows what other chapters remain to be written.
That's the beauty of it all, isn't it? There's always more to learn and discover. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this salty adventure.
Indeed. It's been a pleasure exploring the multifaceted world of salt with you.
It's incredible how salt, something we use almost without thinking, has woven itself into the fabric of human history and culture. We've talked about wars fought over it, revolutions sparked by it, and even ancient rituals centered around it. It's clear that salt is much more than just a simple seasoning.
It's a testament to the enduring power of the seemingly ordinary element. And the fascinating thing is, even today, salt continues to surprise us with its versatility and potential.
You mentioned earlier that researchers are exploring new and innovative ways to use salt, even in areas like energy storage and building materials. It seems like we're still discovering all that salt has to offer.
Absolutely. Take, for example, the development of salt batteries.
Salt batteries.
They're being investigated as a potential solution for storing renewable energy.
That sounds like something straight out of a science fiction novel.
It might sound futuristic, but the concept is actually quite elegant. These batteries utilize molten salt to store energy generated from sources like solar and wind power.
So the molten salt acts as a sort of thermal battery, storing energy that can be released later. That's pretty ingenious. Are there any other cutting-edge applications for salt being explored?
Researchers are also looking into using salt to create more sustainable building materials. In certain regions, salt is abundant and could be used to create bricks that are not only strong, but also fire resistant.
I remember you mentioning this earlier. It's amazing to think that something as readily available as salt could be used to build homes and structures.
It's a reminder that sometimes the solutions to our challenges lie in the simplest of things. We just need to be open to exploring new
I
possibilities.
couldn't agree more. This deep dive into the world of salt has been eye-opening. It's made me realize that even the most commonplace substances can have extraordinary stories to tell.
It's been a pleasure sharing this journey of discovery with you. Salt truly is a testament to the interconnectedness of history, science, culture, and even the future.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this salty adventure. We hope you've gained a newfound appreciation for this remarkable element that has shaped our world in countless ways. Be sure to subscribe to Tell Me More Stories Told This podcast for more fascinating deep dives into the everyday things we often take for granted. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember, there's always more to the story.